So, map number 3 of this best of 5, the finals. Spawning down in the bottom right hand position as the blue Terran player, representing Max Flow, it's souL. And his opponent to the top left, the red Protoss player from My Insanity, and he is slightly crazy, it's Stardust. These logos are just so beautiful. I love them. I love everything about them. They're incredible. They're something that should have been there forever. Anyway, as this all goes, game number 1, we saw, I can't even remember now, Stardust built a base in his opponent's base, and then it was pretty crazy. Game number 2, we saw souL lift, it was habitation station, he lifted instantly over to the gold base, and then tried to proxy 3 racks. Racks. Pretty crazy. Game number 3, this is, I don't know, for the moment it's, well, before we remade, it looked pretty normal, so now I don't really know what's going to happen, if I'm honest. It could be anything or nothing. It could be everything we've ever dreamed of. I hope it is. I hope it's like that perfect dream you have when you're growing up, where you want to be an astronaut, hoping you could go into space when you're an adult, and then still to this day, wishing it would be true. Of course, that was never a dream I had. No, of course not. Moving on. Anyway, all looking good. Simulator coming down. Gateway coming down too. Meanwhile, looks like we're going to be seeing just ACC first on the low ground coming out from souL. He's bringing SCV to go and scout too. Big 4-player map. You want to know where your opponent is, just so you can be on top of things. It's worth noting as well, before any clever people in the chat go, well, you're a caster, spend all your caster dollars getting on Virgin Galactic. Unlike what certain very well-known players might like to think, casters don't get paid that much. Not that much, and I mean, I can't afford going into space after I've bought my Lamborghini mansion. That just won't work. Anyway, for the moment, this is all looking good. Cybercore coming down, 1 gas coming down from Stardust at the moment. Barracks following this up, should see a couple of additional barracks just to be on the safe side. Lucky for souL, scouting across first. Pretty much 33% chance of going the right way. Going cross spawn first does have its advantages though, because it's kind of deduced where you go. If you check up there and then down here, you know that this is the base you should be taking. Whereas obviously if you're coming down here, it's, yeah, I'm clutching at straws to find something interesting to talk about right now, and I'm talking about the bases and scouting, but it doesn't really matter because souL has already found it. Send your first scouting SCV which way you want to go. It's fine. Now, in we go now. Just Nexus coming down. We've got second gas being produced, and Stardust playing this ever so normal. So is souL though. souL should add in a bunker, there we go. And now he's in a good defensive position. He shouldn't take too much damage. Things he's going to be cautious about is whether or not Blinkstalkers come through. Good map for Blinkstalkers is Frost, and Stardust has shown time and time again he is scarily effective using them. Now, for Stardust, he's got other options too. He could get a Stargate down, although if I'm not mistaken, Stardust doesn't know where his opponent spawned yet. He's going to go and scout out pretty soon. I believe he's got his next probe rallied over. Just going to get a little bit of information. That's where the probe's going. The second probe should get switched on that rally point, but it's currently not actually. So he's sending 2 probes over to scout, and this is... There we go, he has realised. I was going to say, that'd be a relatively big misstep for someone of Stardust's caliber. Meanwhile, he's adding on the robotics facility. This could be for a quick tech up into Colossi. Certainly is an effective build if you do decide to do 1 game 1, Robo 1 Forge. Quick upgrades, playing for the mid and late game. You're vulnerable early, but on a map like Frost where it's so big, you shouldn't have too much to be concerned about. Otherwise, not too much else really going on here. For the moment, we do just have 3rd barracks being added in, a tech lab into the mix too. Couple of Marines just on Oracle defense, that's their key benefit of being on the side there in case anything were to come up there. Otherwise, a Reaper being added in. Now this Reaper is very interesting. The reason the Reaper is so absolutely splendid is because of what it's going to allow to happen next. It's going to go, just get a little bit of scanning information coming through here. It's going to try and pick off a couple of probes, but it can get across the map ever so quickly. And that's really a big benefit, because for the moment Stardust has been denied scouting by that bunker. All he knows is the natural base is down, not much else. The Reaper can go and get pretty much free reign through, because there's so much cliff area, it can jump up and just go and scout all of it. And that's why it's coming up this way. It saves using a scan, means you've got an extra meal, and ends up costing less. The robotic spray is hidden pretty nicely behind these stalkers though, so the Reaper potentially going to have a bit of a tough time trying to find out where that is. It depends how much attention Stardust is playing, and he hasn't actually seen this Reaper as of yet, so the Reaper should now be able to get the scout. There we go. So this is the money scout right here. He's even going to see the Twilight Council too, and the reason the Twilight Council is so critical is because that suggests that it could be just a single Colossus down into some quick High Templar play or something like that, but for the most part, he just knows there's only one gateway worth of production, and warp gate tech is done. It just hasn't been warped in yet. Suddenly, I panicked massively because like, warp gate tech isn't researching, and that isn't a warp gate yet. And I thought that would be a mistake that is just not even fathomable to Stardust. So over at souL's base, he's getting scouted pretty easy because Stardust, being Protoss, has an invisible flying scout that only a tiny little shimmer will give it away. Other than that, Starport coming down, we've got obviously Tech Labs upgrading Stim and Combat Shield, as well as 2 additional barracks being flown into there. The Engineering Bay with +1 attack also on its way through. And this is all looking pretty solid. It's a fairly normal game for the moment, and I'm quite happy with how it's going. Nothing too crazy. Third base for Stardust is nearly complete now, and that's good times. Getting that third base down simply means that Stardust's economy is going to be very solid, especially up against Max Flows, who does scout that there is the observer there, scans it, takes it down, denying any more vision for Stardust. But Stardust, he's seeing that there is not a third CC. He knows economically he's about to skyrocket up ahead, and tech-wise, he's also pretty good. All his concern is going to be is whether or not he's about to die imminently. That's really the vulnerability of the build that Stardust has gone. For the past, basically for 10 minutes, you could die to a big timing push without an incredibly good defense. It's that simple, because you've got one gate to produce stuff with for the majority of that time, and therefore you have very little on the ground. You've got nothing to really defend with. However, Stardust adding in that second Colossus now, and Blink, and +1 attack. He's got a good composition coming together, and that second Colossus will be out by the time this push hits. 2 Colossi up against a small group of infantry plus gateway support will wreck it. And there's nothing really souL can do about that. He needs to minimize losses. Going for a drop as well is pretty cool. Could work out nice. Depends whether you can get in here, effectively kill a couple of probes, but that could be negated very quickly if he were to lose this small force. So Stim is going to go down. In fact, straight away though, 1 probe will die. Blink, not yet completed, still about 20 seconds from done, meaning those medevacs for the moment are safe. But this is drawing Stardust a long way over to the top right of the map, allowing this medevac to stream in from the bottom, the south of the natural, go do some damage. But Blink now finished, 1 medevac goes down, but Stardust isn't prepared for this. His mothership core is in the main base though, so we can use Floating Overcharge if required, but the drop is getting unloaded. Some nice damage being done. We've also got to push through the middle. Stardust so far out of position without that mothership core. Floating Overcharge being used, a quick little wave of warpins, but with this medevac boosted straight up. Second Floating Overcharge though is what's going to save the day. The Marines getting taken out, the Colossus popping. Unfortunately, that Marauder is going to die. The medevac is getting targeted, but it should go down. There we go. Same time though, we do have a small group of infantry pushing in here. A big wave of reinforcements rallied across the map. This is the never-ending push that really Max souL is going for. Stardust though, with 3 Colossi, has got a good amount of DPS. He's targeting down the medevacs, doesn't get the full one. Only manages to snipe off 1 medevac, but that's still a good amount of losses. Pushing in for the counterattack. The scan going down. This scan very important. It allows souL to know that a push is coming. The counterattack coming through, or the potential of the counterattack, is huge. Stardust though backing off. He's got his third base up. He's lost 12 workers, but he's still pretty much level. So while economically that's not great, he's not in a dire position at the moment. He's picked up a couple of medevacs, and his tech is still looking swish. Got +2 ground armor coming down. Charge on its way too. That's going to aid the Zealots just to close up the distance, and with the armor upgrade, will make them tanking machines to soak up all of that damage. Otherwise, souL just looking fairly confident for the moment. He's not lost any workers, just happily producing these out, grabbing up a Ghost Academy as well, which is a nice addition, because while he hasn't seen a Templar Archives, and there isn't a Templar Archives down, he's prepared. And being prepared is always good, because when this Templar Archives comes down, which it always will, usually before the 15-minute mark, he's going to have Ghosts out ready and waiting for those High Templar to snipe them, to EMP them. You just think Ghosts late game TVP anyway. Stardust for the moment, he's playing solid though. He's just going Stardust normal, just happy, waiting, playing defensive, macroing up, and getting a solid composition. Upgrades are becoming quite notably in Stardust's favour. He's a solid upgrade ahead and still chrono boosting. But he's up against double upgrades, and that's going to allow souL to slowly level it out. And as long as that slow level out continues, then obviously by about, it should be about kind of 3-3 where it actually levels quite late. Scan does come down, sees the third base, doesn't yet see that there is the Templar Archives down, and that's not an important scan actually, to see that Templar Archives, simply because he's already got Ghosts in production. It's something he's assumed is going to be coming. He just wants to know what kind of army composition is here, how much is there. 2 Vikings coming out at a time. There's only 3 medevacs though, so you've got to be a little bit careful with the lack of healing. And that's something that a lot of Terran players will always struggle with, is balancing the medevac and Viking count when there are significant numbers of Colossi already down. You've got to have enough Vikings to deal with the Colossi so their splash doesn't just annihilate your infantry. But likewise, you need a decent number of medevacs to make sure that you can actually heal up that infantry and allow for stims to start coming through. The trouble is, because medevacs died earlier from aggression by souL, that's left him with very few now when he needs the Vikings. So a second starport, pretty much essential now. I believe I saw one get started somewhere. Yeah, it is down here. No add-on for the moment though. A couple of Zealots also coming the way through, but this is opening up the left-hand flank for Stardust to move down with a lot of units towards that third base. souL's army is quite out of position here, and he's taking out Zealots, but this is opening him up to be absolutely annihilated from behind as the Colossi start moving in. The Vikings do have some nice positions they can try and use here, but for the moment, Stardust just moving down, heading towards that third base. He's got a good number of High Templars, sitting currently at 4. The Ghost count only at 3. An EMP would be solid, but production facilities going down. A medevac attempting to get produced, going to die instantly as it pops out though. And Stardust just trying to play it safe. Storms could be big. Nice EMP goes down there, but still a storm manages to get through. There's so many Colossi, one behind the Vikings, two, the infantry all taken out, while the Colossus at the back has been killed and the gateway units have been annihilated. It's actually souL who's coming out very solid here by managing to take out all of those Colossi and those power units. So yes, it was pretty much mutual destruction, and Stardust can warp in very quickly. But souL, if he can hold this for the moment, he's killed so many of the power units that Stardust has. He's just got to hold this off, and that's going to be challenging because 2-2 upgrades are done on both sides. Stardust has got a good number of Zealots running through here, running rampant. souL has got to put up an amazing defense. Remember, everything on the line. Stardust 2-0 up. If he wins this, he wins. It's that simple. In now goes a couple more Zealots. The Stalker's coming to join in too. Stardust happy with only gateway units. Can he do it? More damage still coming through. The Stalker's just tipping in his favour though. SCV's being pulled. The Vikings taken out. Mule's being cooled down just for the hell of it. GG is cooled. souL, go follow souL at MaxFlow souL on Twitter. And congratulations to Stardust. He wins the $75, and he also wins himself a spot in the monthly finals.